Hey, what's up? It's your girl Kia, and you are kicking it with Kia. I haven't done a video in a while. I feel like I'm always saying that, but things are really crazy and things are really busy, so I haven't had a chance to do a video. So tonight I am doing a video, and tonight we are going to talk about Kanye West and his meeting at the White House. And we're going to do it from the perspective of a black Republican. I don't even know where to start. Honestly, I'm not even sure where to begin. If you didn't catch it, the full rant is posted by CNN. It's on YouTube, so if you want to go watch it. So I'm just going to go through some of the points. Kanye West starts off by talking about that in an alternate universe, Larry Hoover is him. And I understood what he was trying to say. I get where he was coming from. And for those of you who don't know who Larry Hoover is the founder of the Gangster Disciples, which was the very violent gang in Chicago. He is doing multiple life sentences for murder, conspiracy, money laundering, drug trafficking. Like, it's a whole series of stuff. And Kanye said in the alternate universe, Larry Hoover is him. And what I think he's trying to say is that we both grew up in poverty. They both grew up in poverty. And if Kanye hadn't gone one way, he could be a Larry Hoover. And if Larry Hoover would have gone one way, he could have been a Kanye West. And that's how a lot of people think. I grew up in South St. Pete. I could have easily been somebody's baby's mama. I could easily be on drugs. I could easily be just working at, some minimum wage job, popping out baby after baby after baby just to get a bigger check. But, my life went differently. So I got what he was saying for that. He also said that if you're African American, it's almost like ingrained in you, you have to be a Republican. And that's very true. I went to an HBCU, Florida A&M University. Shout out to Andrew Gillum. And everybody there was a Democrat. And when the seasons for voting came around, people would always have their political views. And I realized that a lot of my views that they're talking about, I don't agree with. So I've been a Republican since college. And no one's ever been rude to me or disrespectful to me about it because I've been respectful about other people's views. So again, I get what he was saying for that. And like I said earlier, he also brought up about the welfare thing where if you have more babies, the government will give you more money. And a lot of some YouTubers have talked about this, how the welfare system kind of just keeps you in the welfare system. Where, you try to use your money. Like, I remember, I think it was Funky Dineva who talked about this, who said, because there's a state who said you had to work for your welfare check. And if you couldn't work a part-time job, you had to at least be in school or volunteering to get your full benefits. And people complain they shouldn't have to do that to get their welfare checks. So I understand that the welfare system is broken. It's absolutely broken. It needs to be reformed. It needs to be fixed. People should not be living to live off welfare. They should not be having kids to get more welfare checks. Welfare is supposed to be something just to help you for a short period of time until you get back on your feet. My husband was on welfare. He got laid off from his job. He's a full-time father, mother not in the picture. And while that was going on, he was receiving welfare. Once he got on his feet, he stopped the welfare. Not a problem. I think he was on welfare maybe a year and a half. And our child now is also special needs, so he needed it. So I understand that. He also brought up that people were trying to scare him into not wearing the Make America Great Again hat, and that he was bullied. I don't believe he was bullied. He's been wearing that hat for a month. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think he's making a bigger deal out of it because people on social media are talking about it. I don't think people are walking up to him and saying, you better take that hat off, I'm going to punch you in the face. No one is saying that. I guess he's thinking because people are making comments about it that he's feeling bullied. He also brought up that it really the whole Hillary Clinton campaign didn't feel like it included male energy or men. The I'm with her thing felt like it was only for women. I think that is stupid. Even as a Republican, I thought that was dumb. I'm with her means I'm with her, the Democratic candidate, Hillary Clinton, who's a female. I'm with her. She's the first woman to really run seriously as a candidate. So it was a whole thing, I'm with her. And he brought up the fact that he didn't have a male in his home, and even that he's married because he's in the Kardashians who destroy men. Throwing that out there, they're kind of destroying him right now. Whatever. But he said that the Make America Great Again and Donald Trump made him feel like Superman and gave him a lot of male energy, and it just felt really good. And he just went on this whole thing about praising Trump and praising Trump. He brought up that we need to bring manufacturing back to the United States, which is very true. We do need to bring more manufacturing jobs to the United States. We need to bring more jobs to the United States. A lot of companies do ship overseas. I mean, I'm in the tech industry, so a lot of these companies that I work with ship overseas. And what I realized that in a lot of cases, it's not because of the money. It really is because of the talent. The talent is better overseas in a lot of cases. It sucks, but I'm just throwing it out there from someone in the tech world. The designers, are better overseas than they are here. And they're not working for less money. The exchange rate's just different. So the living wage over there in America, and this is just side note information, over there in rupees, if you're using India, they could make $300 a paycheck and be decent. Well, a lot of the companies that I work, they don't pay them $300. They pay them like $1,000 or, you know, $800 or $600, and they get this every 2 weeks, and they're doing more than good. So it's the exchange rate that gets them. But I digress. But the funny thing is, Kanye, his clothing line, that disgusting I want to be homeless clothing line that's expensive, that's like $1,000 a piece, is made in China. It's not made in the States. So if you want to bring back, you know, jobs in the United States, why isn't the Yeezy clothing line made here in the United States? It's a little weird. So, let's see, look at my notes. He gets a lot of hate wearing the MAGA hat, but he loves wearing it. He thinks it's great. It gives him a lot of energy. And this is where, in this part of the speech, we're about 9 minutes in, where it goes from, okay, we're good, and then it just tanks. And I feel like this is where the mania kind of kicks in, because he stopped making sense after that. He went on a good 5 or 6, 7 minute rant talking about Adidas, dads in the home, dads walking away, bringing jobs into America. It just got crazy. And this is where he also talks about his bipolar disorder. And he's openly admitted that he has bipolar disorder. And what we saw today with his speech was a manic phase. And they say a lot of bipolar people have this, where they're talking, and then they think they're hitting on all these different points. And they're not, because they're not connecting the dots. They're just spouting out different things. And in their head, it's all making sense. And there's a commercial, I think it's Abilify that has this commercial, where it has a person standing on the cards, and all of a sudden they're doing something really good. And next thing you know, it goes from good to crazy to them, like the woman making a sandwich for her child for lunch. She's all excited. She's getting it done. Next thing you know, she's putting a cucumber inside of the peanut butter sandwich, and she's not even paying attention to what she's doing. It becomes a big stack of sandwiches, because it goes from good to manic very quickly, it seems like. And he's not on his meds. And after that, it's a lot of ranting. And he was saying how, you know, he was misdiagnosed, but then he found out it was sleep deprivation. And then the sleep deprivation will become dementia, and he won't be able to remember his child's name, but it's a misdiagnosis. And it's like, well, you just said you were diagnosed as bipolar. Are you now saying you were misdiagnosed by a physician? It didn't make any sense, and he just kept going and going. And this is the one time where Trump being Trump, I actually appreciated. Don't kill me. Trump knew that what Kanye was saying was nuts. It didn't make any sense. Instead of kind of zoning out and being rude and disrespectful and kind of just making Kanye look stupid, he just nodded and smiled and kept going with it. But it got to the point where Trump said what he normally says about things, like, wow, that was something. Wow, that was, what do you say after that? Basically saying, I didn't get any of it, but you're here. You're a black guy wearing my Make America Great Again hat, and you're in the White House, so yay. Awesome. I'm happy about this. There's no way in hell that Trump thought that speech was good. He didn't even look like he thought that speech was good. To me, he almost looked like he was slightly embarrassed of Kanye. And I'm assuming who was sitting next to Kanye might have been Candace Owens, Candace Owens is an asshole. She is. Her and that Step and Fetch It duo, Diamond and Silk, are awful. They don't represent black Republicans. They don't. It's hard to describe. I feel like Candace Owens has a little bit of self-hate in her, and Diamond and Silk just want to be famous, and they don't care how they get it. But with the Candace Owens situation, the stuff she says is just ridiculous, and that apparently is a person who's giving Kanye all this information, and she pisses me off, because you're giving someone who has a really great platform, you're giving them misinformation. You're just letting him spout off points. You're not saying, hey, let's flesh this out so it makes sense. Let me explain Donald Trump's platform to you and see how that works for you. You know, let's talk about it. And if I was Candace, I wouldn't even let him go out and have meet in the White House. I would have said, let's talk about this. Then maybe let's get your views out there. Let's really get you as educated as possible so that you can be a real effective movement for conservative minorities. And she's not doing that. They literally said, you're famous, go out there and do whatever you want to do. And that sucks. Again, in his whole rant, he was talking about giving power to pharmaceuticals. It was just crazy. And then he starts talking about the iPlane 1, which is trending now because no one knows what it is. I guess it's a hydrogen airplane, and that Kanye wants it to replace Air Force One. It didn't make any sense. No one, I can even look right now. Let me just look on my screen. Suppose it was what's proposed plan for a hydrogen plane. Looking. He bought a GIF of it. It's nowhere to be found. It's like one image of it, but that's pretty much it. He also talked about how those 12 steps and 13, it was awful. He does talk about how Saturday Night Live and liberals need to understand that if Donald Trump doesn't look good, America doesn't look good. Duh, we don't look good because Donald Trump doesn't look good. And there's nothing we all can do, because even people around him have tried to boost him up for him to look good, and he doesn't look good. There's nothing anybody can do. He is a man on his own elephant platform, whatever, doing his own thing. He doesn't want to hear from anybody. The same thing with his wife, Melania. Melania has only thing she has to do is make smart fashion choices, and she hasn't even been able to do that. So they don't want to listen to people. They don't want to listen to the people around him. If you've read Bob Woodward's book Fear, that was the biggest thing. Trump doesn't want to listen to the people around him. He doesn't want to read. He doesn't want to get educated, just like Kanye. Doesn't want to read, doesn't want to get educated, but doesn't want to go out there and speak for other people. It's a problem. There's a lot of notes in here. Like I said, he wants to bring jobs to America, but Yeezys aren't even made in America. So Kanye starts taking questions, and the questions, he only really took 2, and he kind of tried to take that whole Trump stance of, you're the media, you're trying to trip me up, so you can't have me in a soundbite. And then he said my favorite line of all time, I'm like a fine wine, you have to taste all of my notes. Well, okay. I mean, it was funny and stupid. He shouldn't have said it. But it was like, okay, that was kind of fly. Like, if that was a rap lyric, we'd all be bopping a little bit. Like, I get it. But in that moment, it was like, just answer the question. Give them something they can work with. And what a lot of these news outlets are doing with this whole rant, they're not breaking it into pieces. They're putting the entire things online. They're letting everybody see it for everything that it is, and it's not good. He starts to go into about police brutality. And he said something that I swear my soul dropped into my butt, because he said it and it was a typical alt-right, extreme right, NRA talking point. That black people kill more black people than police are killing black people. I'm like, come on, man. Really? Did you really just say that? It broke my heart. That is not the point of police brutality, Kanye. That's not. And again, Candace Owens, or whoever is advising him, not giving him proper information about what this movement really is. It has nothing to do with black people killing more black people, because to be honest, white people kill more white people than police kill white people. That's the truth. The issue is that police officers need to be properly trained so that they can handle being in minority communities or be in high stress situations without resulting to shooting someone on spot. That's what the issue is. They should learn to not be afraid of African Americans, African American men, and start handling the situation with either tasers or pepper spray or something. And it shouldn't always be going straight to deadly force for small infractions, like getting pulled over. Or like the guy earlier babysitting while black, which that wasn't the police officer's fault. That was a lady calling the police on him. But there's ways to handle the situation rather than shooting somebody. I personally feel the police are here to keep us safe. That is their job. The problem is when one bad cop does something bad, the rest of them get blamed. We need to be training police officers. It's funny that we give these men and women guns to protect and serve us, but they only have community college educations in some cases, or they've only gone through a year of the police academy. Why not have these people go through a full 4 course of psychology classes, make them have a degree, make them also have criminal justice degrees, or at least, associate's degrees in psychology and in criminal justice. I will never understand why we put someone in such a high position of power over the community who has the education of maybe a 20-year-old. That doesn't make any sense. These police officers need to be highly educated so they know how to handle these situations. Is that what Kanye West said? No, of course not. He went into the whole thing, like I said, of black people kill more black people, And he started saying other stuff that it got really jumbled. And again, it started going into a rant and it didn't make any sense. He did bring up the Chicago stop and frisk. And he said stop and frisk. Again, a good point. Stop and frisk does build a bad relationship through the police. And then it went off into craziness again. And I lost him about where he was. He started talking about how kids are bored in school because school is boring. Kids don't have ADD. School's is boring. There's nothing to really keep them interested. Boy, it's like, what are you talking about? That's school. Not everything in school is going to be magical and interesting and wonderful. Now, school's not going to make you want to jump up and down every day when you go. That's life. That's work. You know? That doesn't make, it's just so frustrating listening to him just drone on about stuff he's not educated on. And that's everybody's problem. He's not educated on the things he's talking about. He's saying that we should incorporate basketball with math and music with science so that kids are more engaged in school. Life is not always going to be something fun and awesome. Sometimes life is hard and it just needs to be what it is. That might sound crazy, but I don't even know what to say about this anymore. And there's still more notes. He cursed in the Oval Office. He thinks time is a myth. He wants Super Bowl. He wants Trump to wear a Make America Great hat with Colin Kaepernick wearing a Make America Again hat. You might have been here. It was awful. And then Trump says he owns nice things in Chicago and he's open to changing his mind about things based on Kanye West, what he says, and he's just open-minded. And you weren't that open-minded with Colin Kaepernick kneeling. You weren't that open-minded when, there's good people on both sides. You weren't open-minded about anything. But when Kanye West comes in there, now all of a sudden you're open-minded. And all this is going on as I wrap this up, as people in Panama City and Mexico Beach, Panama City, are devastated. Their city is destroyed. He didn't have time to go there, but he has time to host Kanye West.